Now, the rest of the story.
Well, just like it's supposed to. Alright, welcome back to the rest of the story. I don't know if you guys can see me, but here, that helps. A little bit of context of what's going on, if it's not fairly obvious already. Dad and I are firing up Big Berta. I mean, she's not big to most people's standards, but she's good enough. The combine is awake. You notice I don't have the park brake on. Did not have the park brake on. This is the first time I've been in this combine. Second time I've been in this combine this year. Brittany and her co-workers were up here, what, 2 or 3 weeks ago. They wanted to see what it was like on a farm. So the corn head's got to be dropped off. It has, I don't think the corn head's really sitting too bad as far as any TLC that it really needs, other than the fact that we got one of our lockdowns right there needs to be replaced. Another thing is I am putting up the money to put the wedge kit in the corn head. The wedge kit, for those of you that are not really aware of what it is, what it does, but what it is it's a spacer that goes on the back side where the feeder house and the corn head meet, and it actually is going to keep those rows that you're seeing up there, it's actually supposed to level them out a little bit, so when the corn is pulling down through and the ears are coming off, they're less likely to slide out the front, because those little flaps down there, they don't work. They don't work as well as they really should. I mean, they are way too thin. But any heavier, and you'd probably be knocking corn over in disease-stressed corn if the stalk quality isn't there, especially later in the season. So, yeah, service lights on, 'cause it's telling me that, hey, we should service this machine. Well, I went through, I had Ryan, I don't know if Ryan or I did it this year, but we went through, pulled the battery cables off on the positive and the negatives on both the batteries, covered them in electrical grease. I literally just 2 minutes ago, you guys missed all that. Oh, dodging the rat poison and everything else I got back there, and cobwebs and the occasional bird's nest. Feeling pretty good right now. The fact that she cracked off on the first try on what, the second or third crank. So Dad is pulling the PTO shafts off. This corn head is going to be left here for now, and we are going to start working on this machine. Between the feeder house, the contour master is giving us some issues. We got a pretty radical and a certainteed way of making sure that that doesn't give us any more issues again. The big one is the vertical grain auger. That's a pretty big fix. Probably the worst one we'll have to do. I don't know how bad. We got a belt on this side of the machine, on the right hand side, that is the innermost belt to the machine, and oops, gotta back up. Say the combine wants to travel on me. PTO shafts are off. Just got to pull one more pin and this corn head is done. It's the first week of August. We had very grand plans that we were going to go through and have this pulled out the first week of July. Well, things happened. Grain had to be moved. I was shut down myself for a week with my ankle. For those of you that aren't aware of that, And Dad and Ryan moved the last of the grain we had left to move that week I was down. We got to clean that harvester out yet. That's going to be a job in itself. Plus this combine. Those are the two glaring problems that we need to address. We get these two jobs done going into fall. It's not the end of the world. Or up more. If you guys can tell, the aux beam is definitely worth the money. I get backing out here, I'll get you guys caught back up. Alright, let's do a quick catch-up clip video compared to what you guys just saw. But the combine did a whole lot of moving, or a whole lot of progress was made on the combine in the time that we pulled it out today. We didn't actually get it out of the machine shed till about 12:30, and by 5 o'clock we had all this ripped out of it. Now the big thing was this gearbox right here. That really wasn't the reason we tore it out. It was the vertical auger that is currently in the scrap pile right now. It's pretty much a buzzsaw, but this was what it was sitting on. Just a handful of bolts actually hold it on. I think it's like, what, 12 or so? But this thing is really deceiving as far as how heavy it is. Ryan and I were underneath it, and we hit it. Dad hit it with a pry bar and actually knocked it loose. Managed to catch it, but it's not exactly something you want to be standing under, just, you know, minding your own business. You really got to be careful what you're doing or where you're standing when you're starting to take hardware out of that, because this thing, for how heavy it is and how fast it dropped out of there, I can tell you right now, if you catch this with your head, you're getting coloring books for Christmas for the rest of your life. So really not looking forward to putting that back up in there, to be honest. We're going to be taking it up, and it's going to be gone through. We're just going to have the local Deere shop go through it and do the bearings and whatever else they feel like they need to be done with it, because we're going to have the new augers in it. I guess we're going to have to look at replacing this inner one coming off this 90 degree. So we're going to have all new flighting on it, and if this thing is not running at peak performance, we're just worried about shearing something out in that if we're throwing that much more grain through it. For how bad the other auger looked, I'm amazed we were able to get this thing unloaded within 5 minutes. So overall, it really wasn't terrible. Of course, tearing stuff apart usually isn't as bad as putting things back in, because when you're putting things back together, you kind of got to be careful that you don't destroy stuff. I mean, I can break stuff easy. It's getting it back together in one piece tends to be the challenge. But we do have a bunch of stuff that needs to be done to this combine. I'm going to try to catch as much of it as we go here. We are about 60 days, give or take, from harvest. It's just your standard October 1st is when we are expecting to start harvest. With this year, I think it's safe to say it's not going to be October 1st right on the dot. It's probably going to be halfway through the month of October. But as far as planting and harvest goes, that's kind of my go-to number. Planting about the last week of April if the conditions permit, and as far as harvest, about the 1st of October. And then it varies depending on your conditions. So the combine, it doesn't really seem like we have a lot to do to it. We got to do some work in the Contour Master. We got to get this back together, which will probably be right around a week yet by the time we take that up, get it worked on, and then get it back. And then we got to throw that up in there. And I'm not entirely sure how we're going to do that yet, but once we get this back together, that elevator back on, it's sitting back around the corner. This side of the combine, or this area of the combine, is sitting all right. The auger, the bubble up auger in the grain tank, that one has 2 augers in it that need to be replaced. Those are currently sitting in the machine shed yet. The clean grain, or no, not the clean grain, the grain loss monitor, we got a wiring harness that is just completely shook, that we're gonna have to look at replacing. Pretty much just from here back, because I think that pretty much speaks for itself. It splits off into two different wires, and this one, that's this one, and this one that goes up underneath, that's pretty much in the same condition. But with having this work back and forth like it does, it's pretty understandable why you have so many issues with it. But it'll be nice to get that grain loss monitor working again. We have a belt. I believe it is, the combine's dirty again. I believe it's this belt, but just from looking at this one, I mean, that's cracked halfway through right there. If we got to replace this one, but we got to take that one to get to that one. I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be to do the belts on this side. Then the contour master needs a little bit of welding work. The cylinder broke the eyelet out on it, I believe, or is it the, oh, it's the, yeah, it broke the eyelet out, and then it broke the stop on it. So we got a bunch of welding and torching to do there. And then once we get all that done, well, actually we get that far and we'll actually see where we stand and try to remember everything else I may have forgotten. So yeah, after a long hot day working out in the sun, I think somebody, he doesn't know he's getting a bath yet, so I'm trying to work him down towards the barn so I can lock the door on him and hose him down because he needs it. So all right, thanks for tuning in. Combine progress update video, one of about 100. I sincerely hope it's not 100, but yeah, it's one of the big summer projects that we have to get done. That and 2 or 3 other random jobs that hopefully won't be quite as intensive as tearing into this. So, all right, guys. So yeah, if anybody's wondering, if anybody's interested, I just have one. If anybody wanted a chance to own a Calvin, I have a little litter of Calvins right now. So if anybody's interested, email me down below. My email is down in the description if you're serious or may potentially want a little copy, little puppy of Calvin, just saying. But with that, he's following me right now. I think I need to get him washed up. Take care, take it easy, keep in touch. Talk to you guys later.